Okay, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me and can you see me? You can please comment. Please drop your comment if you can see me and you can hear me. Okay, I think you can all see me now. You can all hear me. So good evening, everyone. Yeah, welcome to this edition of Farmers Empowerment Series. This program is hosted by Fanspeak Technology and proudly supported by USAID. My name is Muiwa Adeniyi. I'm the lead training and communication officer of Fanspeak Technology. Just a brief intro about Fanspeak Technology. Fanspeak Technology is an agricultural and technology-based company which is high poultry mortality. So the aim and purpose is to reduce poultry mortality, which as well increase production. We have good news for you. For everyone who stays to the end of the program, at the end of this session, we have a gift waiting for you. It will be communicated via the Telegram channel. So you can please kindly find your way to the community group on the channel. Also, if you are new to this channel, can please kindly subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and don't forget to like and comment. We promise you that we have a pack full of great knowledge for you, our viewers, and for the farmers today. If you've ever tried to raise sheep from day old, you will no doubt agree with me that this is not an easy task because this stage is a critical stage that many farmers do face. Why? Because the sheep, they are frail, they are fragile, they are not strong. So they need much care. However, we believe that when we have good knowledge and understanding of how this critical stage can be managed, it's possible to reduce mortality, to reduce death drastically. And that's why we started a conversation around this topic. And to start with this session about the thing to take note when it comes to management in brooding farming. Before introducing the speaker, let me share a video in a minute, around a minute, and then introduce the speaker.
Health conditions of your poultry. Are your chicks always underweight, thus causing you losses during sale practices? Do you want readily available, always sick, and you constantly having to worry about health during sales? Do you need overall help with the best all your poultry products too? Introducing FS Manager. FS Manager is a diagnosed poultry diseases, link you to vet clinics within your vicinity, record poultry operations, track inventory, manage staff, customers, and sales records, best poultry farming journey, kindly log on to www.farm to sign up today.
Okay, can you hear me? And can you can comment, you can put your comment. Okay, so now I'll be introducing the speaker. But please take note, you can as well drop your questions in the comment boxing and the speaker will address that when it's done with the session. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm introducing Mr. Anthony Owe.
Anthony Owe is a multi-award winning entrepreneur in the agriculture and technology space. His life goal is to create and support platforms for individual freedom, an avenue for individuals to attain the peak of their potentials and economic opportunities. Inspired by the 2011 East African drought while living in Kenya, he founded Tony V Farms in 2014. Tony V Farms currently has three poultry production facilities in Bayelsa and Rivers states of Nigeria. In order to democratize investment into the poultry industry, he founded ePoultry in 2019, a digital agriculture platform that solves the challenges of access to finance, access to market, and life skills for smallholder farmers by increasing their disposable income. To further deepen the solution to access to market and inspired by the COVID-19 pandemic, he founded Chicken Palace, an online and physical chicken outlet to reduce post-harvest losses and increase incomes for smallholder farmers. The first retail outlet was launched September 2020, with many others following in the city of Yenagoa, Bayelsa State, Nigeria. Anthony holds a bachelor's degree in international business and finance from United States International Universities. He is an MBA. He is an MBA food security candidate at Business School Netherlands on a Dutch government scholarship. Recognized by President Obama as an Obama leader in 2019 for his work in the food security space, he He was also named top 20 young innovators by Euphorum in 2019. In 2020, he was named top 40 on the 40 CEOs Africa and top 35 on the 35 most outstanding young Africans. Same year, he was invited to the French African Summit by the French President Emmanuel Macron, an invitation extended to 1,000 African entrepreneurs, with 54 African heads of state and government in attendance. He was a guest speaker to the Euphorum Triennial Conference in Cotonou, Benin in December 2021, where he addressed global delegates, including 145 vice-chancellors from 38 African countries, scientists, ministers, and other delegates on how we can unlock jobs and wealth through agriculture and technology. Anthony is a well-traveled person, as his work has in the agriculture space took him to several African countries and Europe. His work was his work has impacted close to 1,000 smallholder farmers in the Niger Delta region of Nigeria and has created thousands of direct and indirect jobs, especially for women and youth in the poultry value chain. He is an inspirational figure for many young people across Nigeria and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, please help welcome Mr. Anthony Owe with a round of applause, a reaction, or an emoji in the chat field. Welcome, Mr. Anthony.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Anthony. Please go ahead.
Can put up the slide at okay. All right, I'd like to welcome everyone from wherever you're joining us from. So today we're supposed to talk about brooding for poultry farming. Now,
I was about saying we can hear you.
brooding basically
Yes, Anthony.
is, I don't know if you can see the slides now. I think the slides up. But in any case, I think we can still do it without the slide. Slide is not really, um, we can do it without the slide in case that cannot work. Can we go ahead without the slides? Okay, I think we have the slides up right now. Um, can everyone hear me? I think the network is a bit not too good. Can we get comments from uh, um, YouTube page so we see if you can hear me? So I can go ahead. I can see people talking about bad network. Uh, Oh, yeah, someone said you can hear me. Okay, fine. Let me just quickly go ahead with manage the network. I think there might probably be a replay of the video, so people can usually just come back to the channel and look at it. Muiwa can hear me. Muiwa can hear me. All right, so my name is Antonio Way. With the main product is the red, but I usually go by introducing myself with exactly what I do. I sell chicken meat, chicken eggs, and poultry investments for a living. And I do this through our four businesses, Tony Farms, which is our production and processing business, ePoultry.ng, our digital platform that provides input financing for smallholder farmers, and then Chicken Palace, that's our access to market business that sells the chicken meat and eggs the farmers produce. And then lately, we added this in January this year, the Agribusiness Academy, the training arm of our business. And of course, you can find me on social media on all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and I think, yeah, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and also on LinkedIn at Tony Owei, TonyOwei. And I can be reached via that email. So next slide, let's go ahead and talk about brooding quickly. All right, so basically, what is brooding? Aside from the definition we have up there on the screen, it says it's period immediately after hatching a bird when feature care is given and all those many English. Usually, I don't like too much of English. I like to be very practical with my teachings. So, brooding basically is this. Um, we are used to local chickens in our environment where we're growing up. You have seen them before. So when a mother hen lay eggs, they lay on it for a period of time, hatch the eggs, and eventually what they do is they hatch the eggs, have the baby chicks, and what they do is you see the baby chicks follow the mother hen, and they are taken care of. They are protected against birds, against any external aggression. The same way, brooding in this commercial poultry business is about the owner of the farm or the farm attendant taking care of those little chicks as the mother hen. So the care that the mother will have given to the chick is what you have to give to the birds. And I broadly categorize this process into three. Pre-arrival. What are the things you're supposed to do before the birds come? Arrival, what are things you have to do the same day they come or probably a week after? And then post-arrival, when they are rearing them, what are things you also have to do? And then we'll break this down to just 3 sessions and we'll move ahead. So the first thing you're supposed to do is biosecurity. Now, biosecurity basically is about protecting our birds, the poultry birds, from any type of infectious agent. It might be fungi, it might be bacterial, viral, or parasitic. So your job as the poultry farmer is first, before the birds arrive now, biosecurity, ensuring that from the beginning of when you conceive the location of the farm, the design of the house is designed in a way that the birds are protected. We can't go deep about the designs and how to locate the farms now, but basically, you know that biosecurity starts from when you conceive the idea of having a poultry farm. It's not just like anywhere, and the design, for instance, I can say quickly, if you have access road on a farm, for instance, and it's this direction, the shorter part of the pen is supposed to be adjacent to the road. So the longer part is opposite the road direction, so that the birds are they enjoy or protected from noise pollution, so that they can do better. Then, in terms of biosecurity, it also involves you keeping proper records. It involves you locking your doors, security-wise, and then again, traffic control. Not everybody is supposed to have access to your farm where your birds are, especially the brooding house. The brooding house is even supposed to be located away from where your grower pen is. So, in a design for a farm, a poultry farm, maybe the first part is the admin and where the customers probably come around, the offices. Maybe the next layer is where the layers are, where they are laying the grown birds. Then the brooding house should be at the other side, away from all those activity. Then the next thing you also talk about again is after biosecurity is equipment. we're looking at how to ensure that we don't have a low mortalities at the beginning part of rearing our birds. Equipment based, they can be very expensive when it comes to poultry farming. It's not like crop farming where you just have land, you clear it off, and then you plant things. Poultry farming is a bit capital intensive because of the equipment you're using. You're building poultry pens, you're getting cages, and all of those other equipment that you need. So you also need to what? Clean the equipment. So if it's a brand new equipment, it's the first time you're stocking birds, then it's fine. Just minimal cleaning. Feeders, the cage, all things that are used in the farm, even the pen itself has to be disinfected. So you've done a cycle before, you have to clean it up because the birds that were there before were bigger. So there might be residues of some bacterial infection that is there that can affect the new birds that are coming. So normally we always say that again is for farmers, leave out 2 weeks in between each cycle. So as long as you sell off the first cycle of the birds, immediately you clean up the place, leave out 1 or 2 weeks for those things to die down, and then the pen should be ready again for use at least 2 weeks after the first cycle. In terms of equipment as well, we also need to note that the equipment are expensive. So you also want to be profitable. Actually, we say poultry farming is different from poultry business. A lot of people are poultry farmers, not poultry business people. We have to understand as farmers that though we are providing food, our work is a bit social. At the same time, if we can't make money and be profitable in the business, we won't be able to continually provide food for the market. So, in ensuring that you are profitable, you also ensure you have to look at reducing your costs and cost of operations. Now, next thing for pre-arrival is the lighting and eating period. Now, if you are trying to brood your birds, it is not when the birds have arrived. They're not trying to now get the fire together, get maybe using charcoal, using stoves, you're using gas. So whatever system you adopt to use, at least a day before, you should have set the temperature in a way that it's ready for the birds to come. So when the birds come, they are not trying to now increase the temperature. They already adjust to that temperature when they come in. So lighting is important than eating. Eating is different from lighting. Lighting is about bulbs around, the place should be well lit. So the birds are still little, they need to see where they are going to. You need to also see because at that particular point in time, you are also carefully managing them. So you have to see what is going on. If they're not eating, if they're not drinking, whatever it is you have to do with them at that point. This is before they arrive. Then in terms of eating, ideally you should have about I think about, I'm going to look at the temperature now, about 35 degrees centigrade. Now, for advanced farms with lots of flocks, you buy thermometers to test, to know the exact temperature, or if it's a controlled building, which is more expensive, which is used in developed world, you can regulate temperature automatically. But I'm sure most of those who are talking to today are probably smallholder farmers in Nigeria. Now, if you're trying to get that, there's this little system we use in our farms is if you have birds, your birds came in today, for instance, if you want to check the real temperature, just pick any of your birds, day-old birds, and then look at my, I think, I don't know if you can see my hand, yeah, my hand is there. Then just place them, let them stand on top of the back of your hand or your palm, the back of your hand. Now, if their legs are cold, it means that the temperature in the brooding house is not enough. If it's warm, then it's good. That's another natural way to confirm if the temperature actually is okay for the birds. Then in terms of ventilation, because we said they should heat up the place, they should have lights, lightning and heating, it should be heated up. Doesn't mean that you also will suffocate the birds. We've had instances where we had experience where farmers will lose birds because of suffocation. So while you're trying to also ensure that the birds are properly heated up, also ensure that there's ventilation so they're not everywhere being choked up. Now, remember, we are still preparing for the best. They've not come yet. We are preparing for them. The next thing you're doing again is about ventilation, or sorry, about drugs and vaccination. From each hatchery, wherever you buy your birds from, each bird, each particular breed of bird, there are several breeds for layers, for pullets, for cockerels. I know for cockerels, for instance, you have the black pullets, black cockerels, you have the white ones. For layers, you have several types. You have the Lomond Brown Classic. You have Issa Brown. You have the white layer. There are different breeds. For broilers, you have Cop 360. You have Aboika. Several of those breeds. So they are different. So the hatchery where you are buying the day-old birds from should be able to share with you the vaccine protocol to follow. So if those who are buying, I know the issue of day-old chicks for farmers, they don't buy directly from the hatchery, they buy from middlemen. So if you're buying from a middleman, confirm not just the name of the company where you're buying the day-old birds from. I usually have these issues with farmers. When I ask farmers, where did you get the birds from? And they're telling you it's from this, they are naming companies. You don't name companies. You don't name companies when it comes to day-old birds. It's the breed. So different companies can actually can use the same breed of birds because that it's exported. So it's from pullet. There's a black pullet. I forgot the name of the breed now. It's a black pullet. It's from Netherlands. So several of these breeds are imported. So when they are hatched, the breed, the particular hatchery that hatched the birds should be able to provide with you the vaccine protocol for that particular breed of birds. So next, buy from the name of this breed follow. Then most of the day-old birds actually are vaccinated. For the case is also vaccinated, they will tell you. So you can get the vaccine from your local vendor and then get a veterinary doctor to administer the vaccine. So drugs and vaccine are very important. About pharmaceutical again is that you have a flock. When you are dealing with thousands or millions of birds in a big poultry facility, commercial poultry farming for now is still not advisable to go organic. Use drugs and vaccines. Vaccines basically are just replica of the disease. They're like they are imitating the particular disease and then they protect the birds from that particular disease. Like we have COVID vaccines around now currently. We're used to so they tell you if you take COVID vaccine, it reduces your. That is what vaccines do for your birds. So there's several vaccines you have to take for those birds, and they are listed in the vaccine protocol. For us as our farms, we buy our birds from a particular hatchery, and we've designed a vaccine protocol for ourselves that we use. So for any batch you're getting, we know what to do with them at every point in time. So vaccine and drugs are also very important. You also get them ready before the birds arrive. And then there are several diseases that you can vaccinate your birds against. The first one I talked about is Marek disease, which is mostly given at the hatcheries. Then you can prevent them from infectious bronchitis, from Newcastle disease, from egg drop syndrome, from fowl pox. I think if time permits me, I'll probably talk about this more later in the presentation. Now, in terms of also vaccine and all of those things, you need to also understand that you don't just admit vaccines and drugs anyhow. So, one, for your vaccines not to fail, storage is important. Vaccines have to be stored in a particular temperature, not in deep freezers to be frozen, but in refrigerators. Transport. So, if you buy a vaccine, for instance, and I'm sure farmers who are used to it, or probably intending farmers should know this, that whenever you're buying a vaccine, you request for an ice block, or you can get a ice bag that you have as a farmer used to move the vaccine from where it is bought to where you want to administer it. And usually we say the time of the day is important. Administer your vaccines in the mornings when it's cold or when it's a bit calmer temperature, or later in the evening, not when the temperature is very hot. It can make your vaccines also fail. Then in terms of the birds, when your birds are sick, you don't administer vaccine when the birds are sick. They have to be healthy. Birds are sick, they're not looking so sharp, and you administer vaccine. Their capacity to take the vaccine will not be there. So you can actually kill your flock when you are giving vaccines to sick birds. So remember, your birds have to be healthy for you to give vaccines. In terms of also expiry, don't be careless. Check for expiry date on your vaccines. Don't give expired vaccines to your birds. And then don't stress your flock as well. And also water. I think when I get to water, I'll talk about this. I'll leave it now in terms of vaccine. So vaccines can also fail. Then when it comes to beddings, beddings is the floor of your beds before they come. There's difference between wood shavings. So there are different, I think there are basically two types of ways to keep beds. It's either you're doing it deep litter or you're doing it in a, what do you call it now? We call it cages, battery cages. So deep litter is on the ground. Battery cages is when the birds are in day-old chicks cages. In all of our production facilities currently, we don't rear birds on the floor at all again. We improve to doing cages. So ours is different. So for beddings, for those who are still rearing on the floor, which is majorly common for smallholder farmers doing 150, 200, 500, even thousands of birds, ensure that your beddings are not wood, sawdust. They are wood shavings. So shavings, for instance, are thicker. So for those who are, if you go to any sawmill where they are doing this wood thing, they have a machine they use to scrub to smoothen wood. Then it brings out a big or large chunk of wood particle that comes out from when they are cutting trees into two. I think it's dust. So you don't use shavings, the wood shavings, those dust form of wood shavings that looks like feet. You use the beddings that are a bit thicker. Because your birds, they are still small and tiny, they are consuming the food. So because the shavings also look like the feed, they can also consume that and peck it. And that can give them respiratory issues, breathing, cough, and all of those things. You don't want to start spending a lot of money on treating your birds. Remember again, this is poultry business. You have to count your costs and manage your mortality. We're trying to reduce mortality. Now, in terms of beddings, ensure that your beddings are, when you get them, before the birds come, if you can disinfect with a little bit of Izal or probably Dettol, mix with it, let it dry. Couple of days before the birds come. Not that the birds are coming this morning, and then you're already putting Dettol or Izal treating your wood shavings. You can choke your birds. So beddings should also be created. So basically, we're saying that the housing situation of your birds is the first way to reduce mortality. Ensure that your housing for the bird, your brooding space is comfortably arranged and kept properly before the birds arrive. Then in terms of water and water quality, straight up, we'll tell any farmer, the water that you cannot consume as a human being rather, don't give to your birds. If the water is not fit for consumption of humans, it's not fit for consumption of birds. So for those who are using chlorine and all of those things in your water, it makes your water hard. It increases the hardness of the water. So in case you want to give vaccines, you don't use water with chlorine inside of it. You use water without chlorine. So if you are using chlorine to treat your water, then you can add some things to ensure that you reduce the content of the chlorine, the hardness, you call it the hardness of the water, before you administer the drugs. Next one, arrival. So when the birds arrive, so what do you need to do? All right, identification is the first thing you need to do. So you've got to identify your birds. You have to check them one by one. When your birds come, you check if the birds actually is okay or not from the beginning. You will see that some birds have crooked legs, not standing uprightly, their navel is weak, their navel is closed, and they're looking up. Some are stargazers, they're looking up, not their necks are not properly together. Automatically, you know that those birds have to be separated. So normally, in terms of farmer rights, you're supposed to reject those birds and then send back to the archery. It's supposed to be replaced. But because you know that doing business practically, most of the birds, we are in Bayelsa, for instance, our farms in Bayelsa, for instance, and then the day-old bird comes from, let's say, Ibadan or your state. They've traveled all through the night or a day before they get to you, and then you now select the ones that are bad. So you're saying that you return it back to Ibadan before you get a replacement. So sometimes the logistic issues makes you not be able to actually claim your rights. But ideally, the farmers have rights. So from the beginning, you separate the birds that are not doing well out of the flock first. Is in a bid to also reduce mortality. Because when you have those kind of birds around and you mix them together, they are not able to eat properly. They don't develop at the same pace like the other birds. It means that there can be cannibalism. The other bigger birds can deny them from eating, from growing quickly, can also trample on them, and it can lead to death. We're looking at reducing mortality. These are the things farmers have to look at. Then, after identifying the birds, you have to look at the body part that's formed, they are standing erect, their eyes are good. I can imagine in my mind someone saying that in case I have 1,000 birds, am I supposed to check all the 1,000 birds? Yes, because of course you have to count all the birds you have when they come, each carton. The birds are packed in cartons, so you have to count them. So as you are counting them, you can check them quickly. As you count one, move the bird, you check, and all of that, and you separate the ones that are not actually very good and sound at the beginning. Now, the next one is uniformity and weighing of birds. A lot of farmers don't do this thing. That's the problem. You can't run it, like I usually talk to entrepreneurs in other fields, aside from farmers. I think farmers also are very notorious when it comes to this thing. You don't keep proper records. You can't say you are doing business, you don't have records. Come on, you're not doing business, you're playing. Another issue we have access to finance problems for farmers is that a lot of farmers can't access funding because they can't actually tell you what they do in numbers. We have one of our businesses, Poultry, provides input finance to smallholder farmers, and chicken parlors also help them sell. Farmers don't know the cost of production. They assume. So you don't know the cost of production. How then do you know you are profitable? How do you know your profit margins? How do you know you should continue doing the business? So if those things are not there, then you're not in business. You are just a farmer. 70% of people employed today in Nigeria, they say they are in farming. But at the same time, we're importing billions of dollars worth of food every year. We have a lot of farmers, but still we're importing food. We have a lot of farmers, but still we're talking about finance for agriculture is not coming in. A bank can't give you financing, they can't provide you investment when you don't know your records. You don't know if you are profitable or not. You don't know how much you spend in the last 2-3 years. So how do you know if you're profitable? How do you know you should be doing this business in the next 5, 10, 20 years? That's the problem when we have farmers who have done poultry farming for like 2, 3, 5 years and they shut down because they don't know the numbers. So as a farmer, you have to be crazy. Permit for using that word about your record keeping. It has to be up to date every time. So at the beginning, when the birds are coming, the first thing you do after identification is to weigh the birds. There's an ideal weight your birds have to weigh at day old to know that they will do well in the market. So for broilers, they are bigger. So broilers should be weighing within 35 and 40 grams. How do you do this? You can put 5 birds together in your weighing scale, and they should weigh about maybe 200 grams. So divided by 5, that's 40 grams. So your broiler bird should weigh between 35 and 40 grams at day old when they come. Your pullets should weigh at least about 30 grams when they come. So you can now also weigh the birds every week to check if your food conversion is working, if you're actually rearing the birds properly. Every week till they are sold, if they are broilers, or till they start laying eggs, if they are layers, you should check the birds. Sometimes I tell people that our birds start laying from 16 weeks, and people say, why? Some don't start laying from 20 or 22 weeks. Another secret I'll tell you again is that birds don't start laying because they've spent 20 weeks in your farm. They start laying when they attain a particular weight, ideally from 1.6 to 2 kg, averagely. Now, you have identified the good birds, you have weighed them, The next thing is sugar glucose solution. Now, I'll basically say that most of our day-old birds comes from Ibadan. If you're in Nigeria, Southwest Nigeria is the headquarters of poultry farming in West Africa. So most of the hatcheries are located there. Now, for us upland, you have farms in the north, in Kaduna, in Kano, in Sokoto, in Abuja, in Calabar, in Uyo, Bayelsa, Port Harcourt, wherever it is you are, or Benin. The birds have traveled a long distance before they get to you. So first of all, they are tired. And they have not eaten anything or drank any water. So when they come, for you to stabilize their energy, the first thing you do is your sugar or glucose solution. So usually use glucose, put it in water. The first 2-3 hours or 4 hours, maybe 2-3 hours when they arrive, give them that water and sugar solution or glucose solution for them to get their energy intact. After 3 hours, you can withdraw it. Are we together? Yes, we are together. So you can withdraw that for the energy. Now, before they arrive as well, what you need to understand again is that food and water and drugs is important. So ideally, in every protocol that they give to you, antibiotics and vitamins are usually used in the first 5 days of their lives. So that thing should be provided first. So you have the proper mixture. The feeders are already in the pen. Ideally, you can use to say, if you have 100 birds, you should give them at least maybe 10 drinkers and feeders. There should be even distribution of those things so that the birds and the birds can easily eat and drink water at will. You don't put 1,000 birds and put 10 drinkers there. The birds will grow well. You will lose some of them because they won't be able to access food. They will rush in and then be pushing themselves and trample on themselves and they can kill themselves. So feeding is important. The quality of food. If it's no matter the birds, you can ask, of course, where you're getting birds from, the kind of feed you are supposed to use. For broilers, you start with starter or super starter. For pullets or layers, you start with also starter as well. But there's some feed milling company, they provide a particular ration for layers. So ask your feed vendor for the particular one that is good for your bird. For pullets, in the first 8 weeks, you use starter or any form of starter feed. And another weeks till they start laying, you have grower, and then when they start laying, layers. For broilers, starter first until the 3-4 weeks, then you can change your finisher till they are sold on your farm. Cockerel, the same thing. Noilers and all of those use that same style. So feeding is important. Ensure that there's enough food for them to eat. Water. Don't buy expired feed as a farmer. Don't be careless. Check the wrapper. Feeds expire 3 months after they're produced. So when a feed is bought, check the production date. If they say they produce this feed today is 4th of March. That feed must expire by April, May, June, 4th of June. So you can't buy a feed and then it's already expired and you give it to your birds. We are setting them to killing them at mortality. Then lightning. Ensure that the place is well lit or is down on themselves. Gather together and mortality. It's not every time that it's sickness or a bacterial infection, all of that kills birds. Sometimes it's carelessness. So it should be well lit. If you don't have the power for smaller farms, you can buy rechargeable lamps and put there, charge it properly. So from 10, 11 a.m., or something from 7, 8 p.m. when it's dark, put it there so it can last them to probably 3, 4, 5 a.m. in the morning. And they're fine. That's the arrival part of the birds. Then post-arrival, I think in terms of feeding, so daily routine. So daily routine is very simple. I would say daily routine basically is about what you need to do every day as a farmer. The first thing you need to do when you get to your farm every day, when you open the doors as a farm attendant, is first go around to check if there's a mortality. You don't know what killed the bird that's there. No matter how you think you're very careful, you still have little mortality. The idea is trying to control it. So if you want to be profitable in broiler farming, for instance, you shouldn't have more than 3 to 5% maximum mortality. So in your profit projections, you've accounted for those mortalities. So if you have 50 birds you're rearing, you shouldn't have mortalities more than maybe 1 or 2 in that cycle. You shouldn't have 10 birds are dying out of 50. you're already looking at setting yourself up into a loss-making venture. So first is check, and then remove the dead bird first. Wash your hands so you don't infect the other ones that are alive. Give them water, give them food. If there's a food that is remaining the previous day, remove it. Clean up the feeders. Don't put fresh feed on a feeder that is already dirty with poo. Remove, clean. So that's why you have like what do you call it now? Backup feeders. So when you remove those feeders you're using previous day, you can use a new one that's already clean, and then clean those ones and allow them dry up for the next day. And farmers, don't use soap and water to wash your drinker and your feeder. Please use ordinary water. Thank you. God bless you. Another thing again is after feeding and looking at, observe them, your observance, your daily routine. Keep proper record. So if there's a mortality, you have a record keeping that says if you have 100 birds now, there's one mortality, your balance is 99. Then your feed as well. I opened a bag of feed today, 1. I have 10 bags left on the farm. I open a bag of feed tomorrow, 1. I have 8 bags left on the farm. Records have to be kept. Another issue you have again in terms of mortality for brooding is your cobwebs. Clean up the cobwebs. And then when you're cleaning, clean it continuously every other day, so that the birds can be used to you cleaning the cobwebs. If you don't clean the cobwebs and it's a long period of time, birds are routine animals. They are used to routine. The birds will not be used to you clean the cobwebs. So when you raise the broom to clean the roof, they see them jumping and terrified. You can damage them. If you are laying beds, you can damage them and they won't lay at all again. So ensure you clean your cobwebs. Management of your litter. So if it is deep litter, when you're running beds on the floor, check your litter. Don't allow it accumulate ammonia that can cause outbreak of disease on your farm. Sometimes it could go up to 7 days, some a week, some 5 days. Clean it regularly. And you should also understand that because it's deep litter, when the poo comes and maybe an infected bird poos, if you don't clean that place and you're not treating them, they can also pick up the sickness again back from the same litter. So, but if it's in a cage, the poo is not having a direct contact with the birds. So it drops underneath. You can clean it also quickly as well, so it doesn't smell and pollute the environment. And then handling sick birds. So when you're observing your birds, you need to also understand that managing these sick birds is critical to your success factor. So when your birds are like that, what you need to do is create a nursing pen, a smaller place in your pen where you can bring your nursing bird, your sick birds to. Give them what do you call it now? Care. Add more care than the other ones are okay. Then when they are very good as well, when they are recovered, you can take them back to where the normal birds are kept. Same thing applies to the feed conversion. Some birds don't grow the same way others grow. So if you have limited growth, what you basically need to do is remove the ones that are not growing at the fast pace like other birds, and then put them in a secure environment for them to eat, drink, take care of them. So when they have achieved that optimal weight, you can now return them back to the normal pen where they are. So that's another way to manage your birds. So generally, for I think the next, let me see the next slide. There's something in the next slide that I will talk about again. But generally, when it comes to handling your birds, we're done. So basically, when it comes to brooding, it's not majorly about sicknesses, about fear. No, if you can get the heat system right, the place is warm, good enough for the birds, the bedding is okay, the food and water they drink is good quality, they have good lighting, water, remove them. So in the first 3 days, you have to watch them, bring them out, ensure they are dry, they dry up themselves near a heating system. If you do that in the first 5 days of the birds, you won't have mortalities. It's very simple as that. So don't just assume that my birds are not doing well. The first thing is you want to buy antibiotics and buy drugs. It's not drug at the issue. Most issues you have in mortality period is not drugs or sicknesses or diseases. is the handling of those birds. If you handle them properly, then you have issues when it comes to mortality. Your mortality will reduce drastically, and then you have a very good livability rate in birds. I think that's that for this session. Um, we actually have a more detailed poultry training. So in case you want to register, just go to any of our pages and register any of my personal page, Chicken Palace, or my personal page. You can easily register for that. I think it's just the link is someone with a team member will drop it on the comment section in case you want to attend the 3 days training period for poultry. Thank you so much, Farm Speak Technology, our great partners, for this opportunity. I think I'm done right now, so we can take questions. So and wrap up the training session. The brooding management session. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Anthony. We enjoyed that session. I even have some keynotes that I want to take notes when it comes to improving my poultry farming and management, particularly in brooding. You can drop your questions in the comment sections. We are taking questions. But for the next 1 minute, you can in preparing our questions. For the next 1 minute, I'll be playing the video again. And apology for the network issue at the start of the program. So I'll be sharing a video file for around a minute, and then we take questions. Please don't forget, drop your questions in the comment box.
Poultry farm. Are your birds always sick and you constantly having to worry? Are you having trouble with your poultry farm? Are your birds always sick and you constantly having to worry about health conditions of your poultry? Are your chicks always underweight, thus causing you losses during sales? Do you need overall help with the best poultry management practices? Do you want readily available customers to sell your poultry products to? Introducing FS Manager. FS Manager is an electronic farm diary from Farm Speak Technology that helps you diagnose poultry diseases, link you to vet clinics within your vicinity, record poultry operations, track inventory, manage staff, customers, and sales records, give vaccination alerts, and even market linkage. To have the best poultry farming journey, kindly log on to www.farmspeak.net/FS_manager to sign up today.
So we have a question from the group for Mr. Anthony. Why do we administer vaccines to birds only when they are healthy? Mr. Anthony, please. Why do we administer vaccines to birds only when they are healthy? What if they are not strong? Can't we also administer vaccines to also make them stronger?
Okay, awesome. So, why you can't administer vaccine? Is my audio very clear?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So, why you can't administer vaccines to birds that are not unhealthy is this: they are sick already. They almost died. They are weak. So their immunity, their strength or capacity cannot take the strength of the vaccine at that time. So you have to ensure that you nurse them to health first before you think of trying to vaccinate them. So vaccination can kill your birds. That's what you're saying. When it's not administered properly. That's why you can't administer vaccine to sick birds. You can only give them maybe drugs to make them recover. So when they're done, when they're healthy, then you can administer the vaccine. Because vaccine is actually not treating, it's basically just preventing a particular ailment from coming. But when they are sick, your vaccine can fail. So there's possibility that your vaccine can fail if you give to sick birds. That's why I don't administer vaccine to sick birds.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Tony. Now I remember even the vaccine that we are being told to take, the first jab, the second jab, and the booster jab. We have been advised that when we are sick, we shouldn't even take that. Yes, I got the point. And another question here, you said we can add antiseptic to our shade. From when to when before the arrival of the bird?
If I had
So
what?
from when to when?
I didn't get that
Antiseptic.
question. No, 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 no. I never made that. I said, so I feed or what? I didn't get that question.
Okay, please can you rephrase the question?
Oh, okay,
Say we
I've
can
seen the
add
question. I've seen the question. They said we can add antiseptic to our shavings from when to when before I have the bed. So what you can do, you're trying to just disinfect the what do you call it now? The shavings. So maybe you can do like maybe like 3 days before, maybe 3 days before the arrival, you do that and allow it to dry up a day, 2, 3 days before. Maybe 2, 3 days before. You allow that to happen and it's already dried up. It has killed maybe the bacteria or whatever it is in the shavings before you before you allow your birds come into the brooding house. I think that's that question. Um, which other question? I'm seeing another question again.
yes, there's one from Mr. Harry. Thank you, sir, for this lesson. Please, I want to ask how many kg is a bird required to eat in a day? What do you think?
Okay. A very got it in a day. So I think it varies, right? Ideally, for instance, our rough estimate is always that if you have a bird, 50% of what they consume is going to be the output, maybe for eggs or for the meat. 25% of what they consume is for their nourishment of their own body. And then the last 25% is their waste. Another thing again we should understand is that for birds, let's say broilers, we ideally we have our own routines that we use. If you have birds, let's say broilers that are training for like maybe 7 to 8 weeks, for 2.5 kg of weight, that means you should probably have used maybe no more than 5 kg of feed for them. You can track that weight conversion every day. In terms of layers, for instance, if you have layers that laying eggs, their average consumption per bird is about 105 to 110 grams per day. But the thing is this is not cast in stone, they are estimates. So you can use lower or higher. You're doing business, you should also understand that you need to also calculate your cost. So you have birds that are probably 1,000 birds laying eggs today, and then assuming they are consuming 4.5 bags of feed per day, you look at the eggs they are producing, look at the feed they are consuming, and then make the subtraction and see if you are profitable or not. You look at your salary costs, your other operational costs. So with that, you can easily manage and say, okay, these birds are supposed to take 4.5 bags, but I can give them 4 bags and say a little bit, or 4 bags, it might be enough for them. So some of those things, as a farmer, you need to find ways to ensure that you're profitable, and at the same time, you don't reduce the results that you have. But ideally, layers should take within 105 grams per bed, so 110 average per day. And then for your broilers, you can use about 50% of what you of what their weight should be at maturity to judge what they should consume throughout that period. I think if you come for that training, you probably get the cycle, the what do you call it now? The every week weighing weight for your birds, so you can track your birds if they are doing well or not every week. So in case you have an issue, you can track it down quickly and solve the issue before it gets out of hand. Do you recommend that we use natural herbs like garlic, ginger in the water of our birds? What is your opinion on adding herbs to water or feed? So it is great. Those things are very great for birds. I'm seeing another question. They are good for birds. But what we're saying is that when you're doing 100 birds, 200 birds, you can be doing those things, right? Garlic is actually great, all of those things. But you have to understand, ask a veterinarian. But if you're doing commercial poultry farming, you have 10,000 birds, 100,000 birds. There are things that you might not be able to do. But for instance, also as well, we are doing a little bit of experiment. So you experiment some 50 birds, is doing well, 100 birds, 1,000, fine. Then you can use it for plenty birds. But when it's commercial farming, don't do experiment. Just follow the proper route so you don't lose a lot of money. Thank you, Ruth Omori, Dakam Project Limited. Thank you. Does feed formulation have impact on the taste and flavor of poultry meat and eggs? Feed formulation. Feed formulation is actually important. Yes, it's possible. But nowadays, you know that the cost of feed has increased. Somehow again, commercial feed has two rations. There's a professional ration of feed, and then there's also the commercial ration. The quality can drop, but of course, as farmers, we just have to just keep doing what we have to do. You can't mix your feed yourself. You have to get the proper mixture, the maize, other feed company additives and all of that. So you still buy commercial feed. You can buy the professional version to get the better results. So that could affect it actually. That's what I'm saying. What are some remedies and treatment of heat stress in poultry birds? Heat stress. When it comes to heat stress, first is it starts from when I think at the beginning I talked about for you to succeed in poultry farming and succeed in brooding, the location and the building of your pen is important. So when the pen has a very low roof, the heat is going straight into to affect the birds. So when you have that, there's a problem. So there should be a bit of space between the roof and where the birds are. Number two, again, is in terms of building, is there's a way you have to understand the way the sun rises and falls in your location. So you don't build a pen when the length of the pen is against the sun. So the sun is shining from here and resting here, and then you build a pen here. So that means that when the sun is rising, the sun is shining across your birds. At that period of time, they will just turn back, not feel good, don't eat properly, and can reduce production, can reduce your weight the weight of the bird as well. So understand that. So the ideal way is for your pen to be built in a way that the sun runs across the roof, not against your pen. Another thing you can do for heat stress is change your water. Our farms in the afternoon, you can 2 or 3 times when it eats too much, you can change your water, flush out the one they are drinking and change the water to a cooler one. Another thing again is your tank, your overhead tank. Ensure that you put some things to cover it, maybe some barricades, so that the heat is not directly affecting your tank. So the water can be cool as well. And then there's some the water sprinklers that you can use in poultry farming that can just sprinkle water. If you go online to check poultry equipment stores, you can get water sprinklers that can spray a bit of cool water on your bed, on your flock, and then make them calm. I think those are the ways you can do. I think there's also give them vitamins, because heat stress is also a stress, can affect production. So vitamins also is something that you can do for them. Give them vitamin and water so they can help them adjust properly. And then, in terms of also heat stress, is the feeding. So in the morning hours from 7 to 10, when the weather is not very hot, give them at least 50% of what they're supposed to eat that day. And then when it is too much, just change the water. Don't bother giving them food that period. Then I think from 2, 3, 4, when it's cooler again, you can administer food again that period up to the evening. But in the between, when the water eat, it doesn't say you don't give them food as well. Check their plates. Depending on the kind of breeds you are breeding, you can also adjust their plates. If it's in cages, you have to ruffle the plate, adjust it for them to also be able to eat again. And then just it's majorly just management for stress. It's not a sickness that you have to now buy a lot of drugs and be wasting money for that or antibiotics. No, it's about management for your birds. So understand the birds and see how you can manage them properly. Are there hybrid day-old chicks that are resistant to diseases? Okay, well, there might be, but well, I don't know of that right now. And I'm sure that the quality of our day-old chicks also continually increase. So technology will make you do better in poultry farming. So yes, there might be, but for now, the ones that we're buying, we have to also treat them for diseases. But of course, the feeding properly and the drugs or the vaccine you give to them will prevent them from falling sick. So ensure that one is done properly. I'm having another one from Mr. Sheyi. What is the optimum air quality for these chicks? Air quality should be great, should be good. So in terms of ventilation, when you're brooding, I think the air quality has to be great. One. Number two, again, is that in terms of that, while you're supposed to conserve heat in the brooding house, you can allow the roofing style, maybe a bit of what do you call it now? By the way, in the first 2, 3, 5 days, you might not need to open any place because you have to conserve the heat so it doesn't escape. But maybe gradually, just watch. As the days are counting by, as the birds are getting older, then you have to reduce the heat that you're giving to them so you don't suffocate them. So you have to find a way that you can maybe reduce, have maybe a window or whatever it is, you build your own brooding house so you can reduce it a bit so that fresh air can come in. I think that's the ideal way for the air quality. What other questions do we have there? I think there are no other questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Anthony, for that um, answers to those questions. We are satisfied with those answers. And to have more knowledge about this poultry farming, what you need to do if you want to also gain more profit in your farming, you can as well join the boot camp training that our speaker, Mr. Anthony, will be organizing. 3 days boot camp training. You will see it on the comment section too, or now you can go about that. So remember at the beginning of the program, we talked about gifts for our viewers. Then find your way to the community group. Find your way to the channel. You see it on the comment section, so you can find your way to it and get what is available for you. And also, you can as well share this the link of these videos to your friends. You also have other farmers you know who are also into this business, or the intending ones who also want to boost their production too. We also hope that this this can also help them and also go a long way in improving their production. So, okay, I'll be showing our to contact us for more information. So, for questions, information, and other programs we'll be having to assist everyone. Farm Speak on Instagram at farm_speak, on Facebook at Farm Speak Technology, and on Twitter at FarmSpeak1. You can also contact us with that number +234-816-765-7384 and LinkedIn at FarmSpeak Technology. We'll be ready to assist and also find answers to your questions. So this is how we come to the end on the program Mr. Anthony, thank you very much. A wonderful session. We hope. Okay, I think you are trying to do something.
No. I'm saying, I
On
said
behalf
thank you for having me.
of, okay, thank you very much. To we enjoy the session. So that is it there for you to contact us. And on that note, we'll be bringing an end to the program. See you soon at some other time. Thank you.